I call it the genocide, which happened in Sri Lanka. Bring us back to that moment. I mean, from your eyes, from your perspective, what actually happened during that time?
Yeah, it was clear, like I just said, that it was clear that not just the Sri Lankan government, also the Indian government, all the states, West and the US and everything, they want to finish the LTT off.
Even the Indian government?
Yes, because they fought the Indian army in 87, 89 period. And of course, nobody liked the LTTE. You mentioned genocide. A lot of people do not understand exactly what happened at the time. When the Sri Lankan army decided to go on the attack, they just don't really go in there to kind of defeat the LTTE. They went in there to kill. Now we see, when I say this one, in the past, people find it hard to believe. Now we see the horror in Israel-Palestine, what's going on in Gaza. For example, we can see. It was under the direct advice and training of the Israeli state, the Sri Lankan government did this operation as well. It has to be registered. They followed the same method. What happened was at the time is that 10% of the population in the north wiped out in the matter of 6 months. Actually, they destroyed everything. No trees, no hospitals, no schools, nothing left standing. They were cornered into a tiny little pocket. One side is a sea, a lagoon, a small lagoon. They were driven into the small lagoon, quite a large number of population, bombed. That's how it happened. The lagoon I'm talking about, not even shelters, nothing. So this is the horror. I mean, they argued that all of them LTTE. That's the argument. That's the narrative that we see from the Israeli government. That is the same language, everything. If you go back and then see, it's everything similar. Striking similarity you can see. So that's how it happened. It's indiscriminate killing. The children said, no, everybody died. Families wiped out completely, all members of the families, etc. and so on. So what happened at the time is mass killing. Simple as that. That's how they finish it off.
And post that, what happened to the LTTE?
LTT stood there and fought. In late 2008, the war started. By March, they withdrawn from their main area in Kilinochchi. They withdrawn. From our point of view, the war is over by then. LTT withdrawn. They're running. The LTT structure collapsed and everything is completely gone. They were running around, basically. So after that is chase and kill, basically. They went after to kill. They did not stop the war, did not stop the bombing, just went on the rampage, killing everybody and finish it off. Particularly wanted to cut the head off. They wanted to kill all the leaders of the LTTE, particularly Prabhakaran, the leader, and so on. So only when they managed to finish that off, then they called that the end of war, so-called end of war. Towards the end, large number of people surrendered to the army. They were killed. Women were tortured and sexually harassed and etc. and so on. The Channel 4 made a documentary which recorded some of the heinous crimes, but not many journalists were allowed. This particular documentary was made by smuggling out few videos here or few little evidence there done by the military themselves. Everybody kept their silent at the time. This was like a war without witnesses. That's what it's called at the time. Nobody was allowed to witness anything and they just wiped out. And also not only they did that, even after they'd driven whatever the population left afterwards into a camp. They were put in a camp for a month. While they were all kept in the camp, the military went and cleaned up all the places, etc., and so on, and burned down the bodies and etc., destroyed all the evidence and so on. This is systematic. I don't know. Genocide is a soft word for that. In our view, systematically cleaned up everything. This is what happened. Right. So what we have got as an evidence now is nothing. What happened to the LTT afterwards? That's it. It's finished. But that's how it's ended. So LTT. At one point, they surrendered in 2009. May is 17 is marked as an end of war, where on that particular day, huge number of people who surrendered with the white flag were just simply murdered.
My goodness. So, what is the current status of the Tamil population in Sri Lanka?
Right. It's one of the most militarized zone in the world is the northern Sri Lanka.
And they are all there.
It's comparable to Kashmir, for example. So they are there. As long as they're just normally living there without challenging the government, they can live.
Yeah,
that's okay. If we can visit Sri Lanka tomorrow, then you can go to the north and you will not see anything. But on your way to the north, you will see huge camp, acres and acres. You will drive through a military camp. So all the big military installations exist throughout the north and part of the east. At any time, they can completely take over the whole area, the military. So the military is still there. It's still an open prison camp, some people call it. So if anybody challenges the Sri Lankan government, or anybody questions, or anybody articulate the demand for separation or separate Tamilulam or anything like that, they're finished. They will be arrested immediately. Not only that, they are banned from remembering who died in the war. If the university, there is some people trying to organize a remembrance last year, they were arrested, put in prison. It's banned. And then the military, there was like area where they buried these fallen cadres and etc. in the past and so on. They call it Mavir Tuile Millam, where and then military went through they bulldozed the whole area and so on. Nobody is allowed to go there and pay respect. But the relatives still there. This body is under the ground, but the relatives still alive, and they know these their relatives. They cannot pay respect or even remember them. So in many ways, and also there is now in the name of research and etc. Suddenly all these different Pansala, the Buddhist temples are being opened up. So it's basically cultural colonization is taking place in some part of the north. And all these things are ongoing at the moment. So nothing is fixed.